Hello there, welcome to episode 40 of Never Mind the Bullens, your bite-sized Everton podcast and vodcast. My name's Mike Peters, doing this in the aftermath of the Tottenham FA Cup 5th round tie, and in true Carlo style, I've got my mug of coffee, which I don't normally have with me, but I thought it seemed only appropriate this morning, mainly because the legend on the mug, if you're watching the podcast, neatly, I think, sums up Everton's defending, or certainly the thoughts of the Evertonians on our defending last night. If you want to know what it says and you just listen to the podcast, go and have a look at the video. It's great. Because let's be fair, the defending was absolutely awful. It was a bizarre game of football. I haven't watched a game like that in many, many a long year. Certainly not from Everton. It was just completely at odds with sort of the way we've been playing over the past sort of few weeks, past couple of months really, and it was a bit of a throwback to the start of the season in terms of we were just, really, prolific to the top end of the pitch, scoring goals left, right and centre, and then at the back we just cannot defend to save ourselves, and we're just conceding really, really sloppy goals. And I did look sort of midway through as we were sort of, I think it was whatever it was, it might have been 3-3 or 4-3 at that point or what have you. I'm thinking, when was the last time we kept a clean sheet? And the last time we kept a clean sheet in the league was Sheffield United on Boxing Day. Which is not saying a great deal, is it? Because they, really struggled to score goals this season. So we've just been a bit slack, and we conceded 3 on Saturday against Manchester United. We conceded a couple last week as well. We conceded 1 against Leeds last week, didn't we? And then we conceded. We're conceding goals. We're shipping quite a lot of goals, and that needs to be addressed again. We're just slipping back into some bad old habits, even though actually defenders individually seems to be playing quite well. We're still, conceded 2 against Newcastle, and we just need to nip that in the bud. But the defending last night was just absolutely amateur stuff. It really was dreadful at times. From set pieces, it was reminiscent of how we were under Roberto Martinez and under Marco Silva, defending from set pieces, where every time a ball came into the box, we looked like we were going to concede. And I thought the greatest example of that was a game against West Ham, if you can recall, back where we were 2-0 up. Romelu Lukaku misses a penalty, and Dimitri Payet was absolutely on fire for West Ham at that point, and we conceded 3 goals, and you just knew it was coming. We blew the game. Andy Carroll tore us to bits, and it was, entirely in keeping with the way that we were playing. And last night was a bit of a throwback to that. That said, on this occasion we managed to win the game, which is fantastic, but it's something that obviously needs to be sorted. I mean, Yerry Mina had a stinker last night. I think all 4 of the goals were preventable, really. He comes off Harry Kane for the equaliser, the 4th equaliser, their 4th goal, coming to chase the ball, when actually if he just stayed with Harry Kane, he'd have probably been able to block him off. Gylfi Sigurdsson's defending for the 3rd goal, for Davinson Sanchez goal, was really poor. The first one was routine, and Yerry Mina is at fault for letting the ball through his legs for the second one. So, they're all entirely preventable goals. What was good at the other end of the pitch, and I will talk about Gylfi Sigurdsson again in a minute, but it was Richarlison getting back on the score sheet. I mean, Tottenham's defending was just as bad as ours, really. But Richarlison's first goal was terrific. His second goal was a great finish as well. And obviously our final goal, the winning goal, was a beautiful bit of football, and great finish from Bernard. Really great to see Richarlison back in the goals, because we've seen him sort of hanging his head, and obviously his body language has been poor because he's getting very frustrated with himself. Over the past really the whole season, he started well, but again wasn't scoring goals, but it wasn't a problem so much because he was contributing so much, but he's just not been quite there, and you can see it in him that he's getting a bit, not been got in the service at times. I will concede that, and obviously teams know he's a big threat and how important he is, so they're marking him, and he's got to find a way, and he's got the quality, there's no doubt about that, to overcome that. So it was great to see him get back in the goals last night, and we may well need those goals, obviously, with Dominic Calvert-Lewin going off with that. Looks like he's tweaked his hamstring, according to Big Dunk after the game. So hopefully he won't be out for too long. If he does miss the Fulham game, well, c'est la vie. If he misses Man City, that's a blow. But nonetheless, that's not going to be a crucial fixture to where we finish at the end of the season, and we should have enough without him to beat Fulham. Let's be honest, but hopefully he won't be out for too long. Returning to Gylfi Sigurdsson, and I mean, he is a bit of a whipping boy at times for fans, me included. I have to say, I've been critical of him on this podcast and on the Gladys Street many times over the last few years, because we know how good he is, what quality he possesses, not just from set pieces, but his all-round game, his ability on the ball, his ability to see passes, to create things. Great, shooter from outside the box. He's good for 10 goals a season, or he should be. And he's just been, particularly over the last 18 months, has just not been quite where we would expect him or want him to be. And last night was a prime example of where his inconsistency, where he creates 3 goals, scores another one, albeit a penalty, but still, he still has to put it in the back of the net. And then, defensively, all right, that's not his prime job, but it is a part of his job, as one of the 11 players on the pitch, to be able to do that. And he just couldn't quite do it. And that was a sort of a really kind of neat distillation of what he's been like for us over the last 18 months, 2 years, where when he's good, he's really good, and when he's bad, he's terrible. And that was, you saw both of those sort of Jekyll and Hyde kind of sides of him. And the whole team were a bit Jekyll and Hyde last night, to be fair. I don't want to single him out, but that's kind of what he was like. But yeah, he managed to get the man of the match on from BT, whose coverage yet again was rancid. But I've said enough about them. I will save a rant about them for another time, because there's just too much to cram into this week, this particular edition. Tom Davis and Abdoulaye Doucouré. Tom Davis, again, another whipping boy. I've been critical of him on this podcast many times because, again, we just never knew what his position was. But the last few games, he's been so much better. And last night, he and Abdoulaye Doucouré formed a fantastic partnership and ran the show for us. Abdoulaye Doucouré's runs from deep, box to box stuff, which is one of the reasons we bought him. A big key, something that we've not really had at Everton. A real box to box midfielder who can absolutely power through teams and create things, and have teams turning on back on the hoof kind of thing. They were terrific. His passing was crisp. He tackled well. He broke things up. It was a terrific central midfield performance, and we need to see more of that from him over the next 15, 16 games towards the end of the season. That's what we need from him, particularly with Alan not being fit. Obviously thought he might be fit for United, not fit for last night. Will he be fit for Fulham? Don't know, but I wouldn't risk him personally. Even if he is, let's keep him. So it's great to see him sort of really showing what he is actually capable, and what we've known he's been capable of since he came into the team 6 years ago now, 4 or 5 years ago. So it was 2016 he made his debut, wasn't it? So yes, so 5 years ago now. Quarter-final draw obviously hasn't taken place as yet at the time of recording, but in terms of progressing in the FA Cup, getting to we are only one game from Wembley now, with the semi-finals and that. So it's not going to be an easy path to us winning this. But you look at the teams that are in it. It's Wolves or Southampton in the game tonight. Barnsley or Chelsea. Well, you'd have to predict Chelsea would win that. You've got Manchester City, Leicester, Sheffield United, us, Bournemouth, and Manchester United. None of those are going to be easy fixtures, whether they are home or away. I'm just praying we don't get Man United again, really. I think 4 times in the season is more than I would want to play them. But nonetheless, if we're going to win it, we're going to have to do it the hard way. And maybe that is the way that we may finally break our trophy duck. Long way to go before we get to that, but who knows. Obviously, the extra half an hour last night is going to impact us in terms of recovery. Fulham haven't had a game this week, so we're going to have our work cut out on Sunday, but you would hope that we have got enough ability within us, despite the legs. We've got the extra days, obviously, rest, because we're not playing until Sunday evening, so that gives the players adequate time to rest. Obviously, players may come back in. Andre Gomez, possibly James, who knows, that we've got enough in the tank to be able to see Fulham off on Sunday. If you want to get in touch, feel free at NMTBpod or on Twitter, or at or nmtbpod@gmail.com on the email. Confusing myself there. I wasn't sure I was going to get all of that into 10 minutes, but I've managed it. So until episode 41, I'll pick up my coffee and say, come on you Blues.